The idea for the film Edward Scissorhands came from a drawing that Burton had done years earlier as part of an exploration of isolation and disconnection. The image stayed with him and became the basis for this very personal film. A number of Burton's sketches of Edward Scissorhands are on display here, with each version conveying the loneliness and tragedy that this character must bear. Burton experienced loneliness and frustration as a child and created Edward as a way of exploring the misery of wanting to connect with the world but not being able to. In order to realise the character of Edward, Burton worked with special effects artist Stan Winston. Creating the intricate Scissorhands was particularly challenging. Burton wanted the hands to be big so that Edward would be both beautiful and dangerous. The hands were the key to the character, so that when actor Johnny Depp put them on, it was as if he became Edward Scissorhands. Stan Winston, who won Oscars for his work on the films Jurassic Park, Terminator 2 and Aliens, is remembered as a perfectionist who strived to make his creations as real as possible by exploring the logic behind the concepts and ideas he was working with. Initially, Winston struggled to understand Burton's vision of Edward Scissorhands. However, Edward is a fairy tale type character who doesn't need to make logical sense, and once Winston came to terms with this approach, he relaxed and delighted Burton with the way he got into the spirit of the project. Winston also worked with Burton on Big Fish and on Batman Returns, where he helped create the grotesque look of the Penguin. Of all of Burton's characters, Edward is arguably the one that audiences, particularly children and teenagers, find the most appealing. An audio clip will now play. You are listening to Vivian Stranieri, Acme Youth Programmer.
In these sketches of the character of Edward Scissorhands, Edward's vulnerability and his fragility in some ways, you can really see that conveyed through Edward's eyes in the way that Burton has drawn this character in this fine line with this dishevelled hair, and just the pose of the drawings, the way the figure is draped, the way the figure stands, all suggests this vulnerability of this quite gentle yet misunderstood outsider that Burton has created. The drawings are exquisite when you look at them, and to see the development of this character that Burton has envisaged in his private imagination that he then goes on to share with the world is just so wonderful to look at. Johnny Depp, when he read for the film, was so taken by this character that once he got into that incredible leather-clad costume, became Edward Scissorhands, and took a while to come out of character. And that, I guess, was the beginning too of this wonderful working relationship between Burton and Johnny Depp. My most memorable moment in Edward Scissorhands is when Edward, in his beautiful self-effacing way, pretends that he doesn't know that the group of teenagers, including Kim, are about to stage a robbery. And he takes a fall for the love of his life, Kim. I think that sequence clearly demonstrates the strength of character and loyalty and selfishlessness of Edward, particularly in contrast to the teenagers themselves, but also the community that at first embraces his difference and then fears his difference and then persecutes and rejects his difference.